What's up, guys? It's Josh Schneider.
Justin Russell.
Russell Marine Products. We're out here today to do a in-depth comparison.
Round two.
Yeah, round two. Yeah. We've done comparison videos for you guys before. This one's on live sonar, specifically the Garmin LiveScope versus the Lowrance ActiveTarget. Looking forward to get Mega Live to throw that in the mix as well, but it's just not here yet. When I say in-depth, I do mean in-depth. We are going to go through 3 different levels of water depth. We're going to look at both structure and go to find fish, and we're going to do that in all 3 modes. We're going to hit perspective, forward, and down. This is a 2-day film. You're going to see a lot of stuff. You're going to see some wardrobe changes. Don't get weirded out. We're really taking our time here. This is going to be in-depth. It's also going to be a series. Right now we're coming to you with part 1, which is perspective mode versus scout mode. We're going to get going on this. We're going to start filming it in the different depths and really show you guys in detail the comparison between the 2 competitors right now. What do you think?
So some of the science that we know behind this stuff in perspective versus landscape mode, of course, again, Garmin LiveScope versus Lowrance ActiveTarget, we know there's some angular differences on some of the angles on that. So we have some theories that one's generally going to work better shallower and one's going to work better deeper. Now, hopefully, doing this test is going to confirm that. Some of the stuff we want to go over is standardized everything as best as we can. So we do not have this transducer, or any of these transducers are not going to be mounted to the shaft of the trolling motor. So even though we've got a brushless trolling motor here, we're trying to eliminate any potential interference, any potential things where people can say like, oh, it's not the same. We've actually got it mounted to a pole mount that we're on the side of the boat here. We're in the crappie killer. So again, we're going to do everything out of auto settings. Everything as evenly as possible. We got an 8612. We've got a Lowrance Live, not only just for the same sizes as well too, but mainly for our screen recording so we can have the best possible screening images. We don't have to deal with glare. It's in the summer. It's bright and sunny out here. So we're really looking forward to do this. One of the previous comparisons we did was the first time we ever went ice fishing.
Exactly, yeah.
Really, really good. Super, super close, but that was only in down mode. So again, from my eyes, I think you would agree with this too. Super, super close. The Lowrance is just like literally an edge, just a little bit more crisp. And again, from some of the science, we understand why. We've been over this in past videos. We're going to do, again, different depth readings here. We're going to go out to several structure areas that I know on El Dorado Lake as well when we're in forward and down, start throwing some actual fish in there. Now, one of the standardized things, I'm a bass fisherman, so this is what I want to compare it to. We throw a lot of tubes in Kansas. This is a 1/2 ounce jig head with a big Snack Daddy Lures tube on here. So we're going to be able to see this thing in forward, see how far out we can see it in down, see how far down we can see it. We're going to keep everything, again, identical. Let you guys decide which one works better for you guys. So again, really looking forward to bring this together for you guys.
Yeah, big time. Like, stick around. 3-part series. Part 1, perspective. Let's get started. All right, guys, so like we said, we're going to do the direct comparison and some set parameters. We're going to do 3 different water depth sets as we do these tests. The first one is going to be shallow water, so 15 feet or less. The next one is going to be mid, that's going to be 15 to 25 feet, and then we're going to do a final one between 25 and 40 feet for our deep water test. Right now, we're going to get on the screen, look at the perspective mode. This is going to be 15 feet and under. We're going to be rolling anywhere from 10 to up to a foot of water. So you see what this perspective mode runs. You guys are going to see on the screen record, this is an old farm wall that you've seen on our channel before. If you haven't, check out some other videos. It shows up really great on perspective. It's a good comparison, and we'll be running the same exact path with the Lowrance when we return and finish that filming up. So here we go. Okay, guys. As we're coming across this old fence row, we're at a 90-degree turn on the fence row. It's very defined here. It's obviously been underwater for quite some time and it's starting to crumble out, but it's a very defined 90-degree. You can go along and we can follow this old rock line as it heads back towards the bank. You will see on the screen the spinning and rotating off to the left side. That is the trolling motor as it stops and starts. There's a good gap right there in the rock wall.
Which that gap could have been a driveway through the fence itself. I mean, here's another gap coming up right here. But again, you can see the very hard defined areas where it's directly hard rock on silted in structure. You know, we started off 7-8 feet deep, and we're just going to continue to go shallower. We're just going to follow this thing right up onto the bank here and just keep an eye. You know, again, an awesome thing for this, as we did the perspective video before, seeing those breaks in the fence row and seeing where the changes occur is a really big key, because that's where those fish are going to be utilizing those areas to swim through. And again, it does come through really, really well in perspective mode here.
Yeah. Path of least resistance. I mean, shallow water, it's pretty darn phenomenal. Again, factory settings here, nothing fancy, and it's still clearly defined. You know, in a perfect world, we'd definitely be cranking the gain way down, and you'd get a lot more definition out of this.
All right, guys, back out day number 2, but back out at spot number 1 with Lowrance ActiveTarget. Got our old trusty here. Not gonna use it right now because we're in scout mode, but we're gonna go find that old fence row here and show you guys what it looks like with Lowrance ActiveTarget. Again, shallow water, so 0 to 15 feet. We're gonna start off here probably around 10, 11 feet deep and go a little shallower right here, so let's get started. 9 feet deep. You can kind of see we're coming up on the edge of it. It's pretty close to us here, about 25, 30 feet away. Again, all auto settings here again. So, a little shaking here with the wind and wave action, a little turbulence there. Try to stabilize that a little bit. We're gonna see if we can see where this thing makes a little hard bend here. You can see it a little bit vertical there. We're starting to make a turn. You can kind of see some stuff coming up here further ahead on the upper left-hand corner where it kind of makes that 90. We're gonna go down that pathway right there. Again, there we go. Here's some stuff coming up here. But again, it's not easy.
No.
Not as good as it is on LiveScope for damn sure. You can kind of see the 90 though. There it is. Yeah. But definitely not easy. And again, we know the reason why this is, guys. We'll explain this here in a little bit. There's some more here. So there's our hard 90 off to the right there. Again, not crystal clear.
There's our gap. Fish moving through the gap.
Yeah.
Just like we suspect they would, and more trailing towards it.
Yeah, and we're gonna pick that little thing up there. We're starting to make our turn. And then we kind of lose that thing a little bit. We go up there, and so you can kind of see as we get closer to it, it's a little easier to follow.
Yeah.
We're getting shallower, we're running up the bank there, right-hand side. But definitely not as clear. Again, I'm gonna save this for the end as to why it's not, because again, we know some of the science and some of the angle stuff as to why it isn't. So we do know that. All right, well that was 0 to 15 feet. Let's go check out 15 to 25 and see what it looks like there.
Let's make a run. All right, guys, here we are at the second spot in perspective mode, looking at that mid-water range, 15 to 25 feet. We're in some flooded timber here. Let's see what we can see on perspective mode. All right, so we're in 21 feet of water right now, hanging out in this flooded timber. That's pretty solid, so you can...
you can see there definitely have some height to them. So look at this shadow coming off that one right there. Holy cow. There's some rock.
Really interesting perspective to see this in. It truly is, you know, it's not looking at standing timber from this angle just on a graph, right? Like we're used to seeing it sideways. And to see it from the view, basically how we would be looking at it if we could see underwater, is really, really interesting to me. Good solid clarity overall though, for sure.
It's just a little bit of a difference because it's not normally used to what we're looking at, because again, we're in such deep water, so the objects in the trees being in that 25 to 15 are generally taller, so we've got bigger shadows kind of that honestly sometimes inhibit what you can see. But again, you can obviously make known that you're very clearly in timber. One, because we know we're in it visually, but two, you can see it pretty easily on there again.
Yeah.
Passing another tree here, so we're having a shadow come through. So again, off to the right, you can see we're kind of rotating here. Those are shadows coming up off that standing timber.
That's the one thing I would say, as far as perspective in this range on this type of structure, like Justin was saying with the shadows, looking at the trees vertically, any fish that are hanging out under branches are going to be pretty difficult to distinguish in perspective mode in particular.
No, they absolutely are. All right, guys, so we're out here on mid-depth range, looking to cover water 15 to 25 feet deep on Lowrance ActiveTarget in our scout mode. So getting ready to check this out. Definitely seeing the trees in here. I mean, kind of what we expected. Kind of Josh about fell in. That's awesome.
I'm back. Yeah.
Seeing some more fish down there for sure. Seeing some trees off here. Not as defined as what Garmin's was, but again, we're 20 feet deep. We got the overview overlay right here. Trucking along here. Still seeing stuff, still actively coming up.
Those hard
Here's
tree
another
shadows.
tree. Yeah, the shadows definitely affect this way more than what we saw with the LiveScope.
Yeah.
You know, tree, shadow, big shadow, passing over, tree coming up here. What I am seeing though further out, when trees are laid over, it is a little bit more obvious of some trees being laid over from what it appears.
Easy to pick up, nothing.
There's some fish right there on that tree. That's some good ones. Just not as clear.
Nope.
You know?
Not bad.
No, not horrible, but not what I'm used to seeing, not what you're used to seeing.
No.
You know, not what we saw with LiveScope, so.
All right, guys, out with the Garmin at spot number 3. We're gonna go through perspective mode here on the inlet of the spillway here at El Dorado Lake. We're gonna check out this 25 to 40 foot-ish depth range, maybe a little deeper, and see if we can really stretch this guy out and see what we can see.
All right, guys, as you can see here, we're coming up on our spillway or the intake grave to the spillway system. Not a lot of definition, but it's kind of to what we're gonna be expected. You can definitely still see, you know, the 90 degrees from the concrete, where the intake grate itself goes. See some fish down there. You can actually still see a little bit of the buoy lines as well too. A little difficult to see, but again, we kind of know this. This isn't really an application that we know is for deep water, but not horrible, not
For 50
bad.
feet, yeah, 50 feet auto settings. Better than I expected, trying to stretch it out this far. Something, the tool that we've known to use predominantly in 15 feet and below. You know, we know we're pushing it to its limits right here.
And we know, keep in mind too, the boat's in 50 feet of water, but where the intake spillway actually does start, I'm gonna get as close as I can to the buoy line here that we can't cross. But coming up on that, you're gonna denote, it does get shallower, but again, not a ton of definition, but again, kind of what I expect really, you know what I mean, for this being depth. Again, we know perspective mode was never really meant to be this deep with how the angles are, so.
Definitely covers you a whole lot of area if you're looking for some big structure or something off of a deep water spillway or anything. It covers a lot of area.
All right, guys, we're out here on ActiveTarget, deep water comparison, 25 feet and deeper in scout mode. Gonna check out the spillway right here, see what it looks like. Let's get started. All right, definitely seeing the buoy lines here pretty damn good and easily defined here. Wow, that's you can actually see the holes there in the intake. And again, we're in 51 feet of water here, so we're actually a little bit deeper than we initially thought, but it obviously gets shallower as we come up to it. But look at that definition. That's
impressive.
Pretty damn clear. I'm excited to get back and see how Lowrance's or our Garmin LiveScope looked at. Look at all them fish over there. Holy cow. That's a lot of fish over there in that
Look
corner.
at them just hanging up. They're just stacked up all over it.
Yeah. Here's our buoys and our buoy lines down here, but look at the fish right above that intake. Holy cow.
Man, seeing the scout mode, perspective mode, however you want to look at it, this flat looking from the top down. Again, we're
you can see the
50
definition.
feet of water.
Yeah, look at that
Looks
definition.
like Indiana Jones, man. Like that's crazy.
Again, here's our buoy lines out here. Look at the fish in there. Holy cow. That's pretty impressive. I'm spinning the boat around here again. We're picking up some more buoy lines and some edges out here.
All right, we're in 50 feet of water. How big is
44.
that guy?
Yeah, that's a good one. But look at all the ones over here. So again,
Wow.
our buoy line's here.
Yeah.
So here's our big buoys. Here's the lines between the buoys. 44 feet of water. Look at all them fish right there. But look at that. Look at the
pretty
fish
bonkers.
on that. Yeah, you can tell it comes up, goes back horizontal, and then comes up again. Like, that's pretty damn impressive.
You guys know I love me some Garmin. That boy's good. That looks really good.
Yeah, that's some deep water scout mode there in 51, 52 feet of water. That's impressive. Again, buoy lines, very easily defined buoy lines coming off here.
That's wild.
Look at all of those fish right there, holy cow. That's pretty impressive to me because we've never been able to see a lot of suspended fish like that on a scouter perspective mode, especially in this depth of water, but man, look at that. All right, guys, we're back here in the studio. I want to go over what we're going to do here is put these two videos in each different mode, shallow, medium, and deep, right side by side, and kind of go over what we're seeing in our side-by-side comparison. After this, we got a little science to go over with you and explain some of the reasons why you're going to be seeing what you're seeing within this here. But we're going to go ahead and get started here. We're going to start with shallow water application with perspective and scout mode.
One thing I want to call out, we did edit these so they're the closest geographic location as possible. We talked about this in the intro. We filmed these on 2 separate days, but you guys will see it on the screen. We're looking at the closest possible view to the same thing so we get that comparison as close as possible.
Again, all auto settings on here, guys. So something I want to reiterate here, we do not have overlay on like a grid line section on the Lowrance ActiveTarget where you do on the LiveScope. This is used screen recording. So again, we eliminated glare, everything like that. We're recording directly off the screens within that too. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, again, shallow water applications, 15 feet and shallower here. One of the main things I want to go over is you can see the old fence row there on the ActiveTarget, but it looks pretty damn bad compared to what it looks like on LiveScope here. Again, we got some science. We're going to go over this here in a minute. You can see here on the middle of the screens, there's our hard 90-degree turn. You can see the gaps on both, but very, very clear on Garmin LiveScope on here. So, you know,
it's what we saw on the water, guys. Yeah. The LiveScope in perspective mode in shallow water is nice. Really nice.
Hands down the winner for sure. Yeah. Now we're moving to our medium depth here, and I'm going to say pretty much still more clear on LiveScope, but we're seeing a lot of the same things on ActiveTarget. I do in some instances feel, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, ActiveTarget may be seeing some stuff out a little bit better further away. Now it's not really clear, but you know something's there.
No, I would not disagree with that at all. You see the stuff once it gets closer in the range. I mean, close, relatively speaking. We're still 50 feet out, but the LiveScope, it clears up really nice, where the ActiveTarget, you do see it out further.
Now here we're in our deep water comparison, 25 foot and deeper. And
yeah, this was the wildest thing to us. I'm going to pause this for a sec. You guys are seeing it on the screen. When looking at this deep water, we were shooting this in 50 feet of water overall. What you see on the front and just off to 1 o'clock on both screens now, kind of 2 o'clock on the Lowrance screen, that is the big inlet for the dam.
Spillway.
Yeah. What you'll see come up in the next couple seconds is what we agree is probably the most impressive thing that we've seen on a live sonar kind of period.
In this depth.
Given the context, given the depth and what you're seeing there.
The big thing I want you guys to focus on, and looking right in that inlet, especially on the Lowrance ActiveTarget, you are looking at suspended fish moving around, and we are not seeing that at all on perspective mode with Garmin.
Yeah.
So again, we've got, I'm going to explain here real quick, we've got a buoy line, so a hard buoy line we're looking at here coming up. But again, look at the number of those fish, look at that intake grate going on there. It's pretty damn impressive. Yeah. Again, I want to jump into some of the science about this here that makes this so important. So one of the things that we understood is, so this is a Lowrance Scout mode bracket. Now this is the trolling motor head mount, okay? And the reason I wanted to put the trolling motor head up mount here is to show when installed, this actually angles down. This is a 20-degree down. So we're angling that transducer at a 20-degree. When you talk about the Garmin perspective mode, it's a 15-degree. So as I hold it, I'm going to try to hold that as vertically as possible. Notice the bottom one here, right here, the Lowrance, has a deeper degree cone. Again, 20-degree versus 15. So naturally, the science behind it is Lowrance is going to work better in deeper water, where Garmin is going to work better in shallower water, which we've just showcased that with this video.
It's literally where they're aiming.
Yeah, 100%. The one thing I will notice, you can take these and pry them up slightly to get it more to that 15 or 10 to work better in shallower water. You can take your Garmin perspective and angle it and bend it down to work better in steeper water or deeper water. The one thing I will caution you on this is either buy extra mounts, don't use the ones directly coming in, because once you bend this, when you go back to forward or down, you've changed all your angles and everything at that point is off. So be very, very careful with doing that. I don't want guys going out and bending this like, oh, I can't find my lure on forward or down. Again, I would recommend, since most people aren't using this one anyway, if you're a shallow water angler during the summer like me, I am, I'd take that thing and I'd bend that thing up probably 10 to 15 degrees instead of 20, and it'll work better in shallower water. Or if you already have Garmin, take another or order another perspective mode, bend that bracket down or have one fabbed up and bend it down to work better in deeper water if you're a deeper water fisherman when the summer comes here. Again, this is just the science and engineering behind it. It was specifically designed that way by both companies for a very specific reason, and we've showcased here how both work very, very well, but again, different applications for each one.
Always remember, auto settings, you can dial both of these things in. We're trying to showcase what plug and play, what she's gonna look like.
I will say right out of the get-go here, it's pretty important. It seems to be from, again, installing, going out on the water. Garmin has a lot more stuff to mess with, which is a good thing or a bad thing, where Lowrance doesn't have as much, I would say. I mean, would you agree with that?
No, it's not as tunable. I think it's fair to say, yeah.
As we get into some of this other stuff, this wraps up kind of the series for video 1, so be sure to check out video 2. We're going to come into more of some of that science stuff here of getting it out of the box, what we're talking about moving with our video 2, which is going to be forward, and then video 3, which is going to be our down modes as well too. So be sure to check out those other videos coming soon.
See you soon. We're out here today to do a in-depth comparison. When I say in-depth, I do mean in-depth.
God, I'm sorry, but those are some big fish. Yeah, those are giants.
You guys know I love me some Garmin. That boy's good. That looks really good.